Hello and good morning. Welcome, I'm Greg and I've got Jens here with me. And I just need to kill those titles.
Hello.
I'm not as organised as I'd like to be today. But it's all right, we're getting there. Let's see. There we go, all off. Hello, I'm Greg and he's Jens. How you doing, guys? Welcome to Wirecast in the Wild.
Warm welcome from my side as well. So happy to be on your show, Greg. Thanks.
Yeah, so this is our first time doing this, so please bear with us as we have a bit of fun working out the setup. We didn't have a lot of time to practice, but it's okay. We're here and we're talking. And Jens has got in front of him a chat dashboard that he's not used ever before. This is the first time he's playing with that particular technology. So very, very shortly he'll press some buttons and we'll have some messages coming up on the screen. But while he's playing with that, just a quick little intro. What is Wirecast in the Wild? So Wirecast is a streaming product that I use regularly for a weekly stream. Jens has used it for a number of years as well. And we thought we'd do a community support network kind of thing where we can share our experience with that particular tool and hopefully help the community. We're not saying we know everything. In fact, sometimes maybe some of our viewers are going to know a little bit more about some topics than others and be able to help each other. But I think together we can certainly be a good support network to the community. Now, just for a minute, Jens, I'm going to get you to do a brief introduction for yourself, and I'm going to go and change something on the Wirecast system in front of me, so I'll put you full screen for a bit.
Yep, okay, thanks, Greg. Short introduction of myself. I've started with Wirecast. I think I saw version 3.6 something, but more or less started with Wirecast 4 years ago. So I had a good play with the software, and I used it for a lot of productions. We use it more or less daily, and yeah, it's always a good fun. It has a nice user interface. It's easy to understand, but it has some, I mean, if you know all the tricks, bits and pieces, how everything sticks together, it's quite easy to get around. But yeah, happy to be on your show. So I read there's some echo. Okay.
Yeah, there's a little bit of echo. I'm getting more of it than you. You're not hearing as much as I'm getting, and I think I know where it's come from. It's coming from that camera in front of me. So let me just go and sort that out. In fact, let me double check. It's annoying because I've got the Wirecast USB mixer in front of me, but I'm not seeing that one coming up on the screen.
Yeah, I prefer external mixers, so in my setup I use a small, it's physically small, but technically big. It's an XR18 from Behringer, so you can do all tricky stuff. You have auto mixes, you have buses, whatever, so you can do mix minus and stuff like this.
Yeah. So normally when I do my regular show, I don't have these problems because it's been polished and the setup is absolutely perfect every week. So apologies to you, Jens, for my lack of polish today, but it's all good.
Oh yeah, you know, we both do this the first time. I have to get used to these titles. And you can fix your audio stuff. So it's you know, you always learn. So and that's why everybody is here, because we learn from each other. So I think that's the advantage of the community. It's not bad. Something with failures, everybody does failures. As long as we learn something out of it, that's good. And
And
we
there
learn
we go.
together. So, hey.
And there we go. We've finally got a title up. So this is the first time Jens is playing with Title Alive remotely for the chat function. So, we're all learning some stuff. We should have tested that before, but, this is live. It's fun. So anyway, again, welcome. So let's talk about a couple of bits and pieces. Number one, we wanted to talk about the encoder settings within Wirecast, demystifying it, trying to help people with a couple of quick tips and tricks and things that we've learned about that ourselves. We don't have a script for any of this. It's not scripted. It's just us chatting about our experience. And I'll start out and I'll just get Wirecast up on my laptop. So this is my laptop, which is not what I'm using to broadcast today. The broadcast computer is way over there. But I'll get this machine locally here and I'll see if I can get that up on the screen for you. Have we got any interesting chat coming in while I get that up, Jens?
Yeah, mainly its sound is good now, so I think you do a good job, Greg.
People talking about our sound problem from before. Have we got any, how many people have we got in the chat room that are actually Wirecast users? So we're going to have kind of a mixed audience. There's people who watch my regular streams, many of which are actually streamers as well. So that's audience number one. Audience number two, we're going to have some people who've come in from the Wirecast support forums or the user support group on Facebook. How many people have we got in here using Wirecast? And maybe this is our first one. We may not have too many today.
Should I answer this? Can I see it from the Tyler stuff?
It's coming up on the screen. Can you answer the chat comments in the Titler dashboard? No, you can't. You've got to open a separate YouTube window for that. Okay, so let me just see if I can throw up my desktop over here. Okay, so this is my laptop computer. I'll just get rid of the Title Alive stuff, so we won't have that up for a little while. And I will go back over here, File, New, and we'll just fill up my desktop a little bit. There we go. So output settings demystified was our topic today. And let's start with just a standard RTMP server output rather than talking about any of the individual subcategories down here. We'll just start with that. So right at the very beginning, and I've got email coming up on my screen. I might get rid of that. There we go. So RTMP server, we've got the name of this particular output connection. We've got a destination, which is the categories that we saw before. We've got some default encoder properties and preferences over here, which are based on, the defaults are based on what Wirecast has defined. And there's a couple more that I've got up here that I've defined. So that's the very, very basics. Beyond that, once you start getting in and editing a profile, let's have a look at this one. So, very beginning, X264, Apple H264, main concept H264. What do you personally use, Jens, for your encoder type? And are you there, Jens, or have you frozen? Hello. I can see Jen's looking at the screen. It looks like he's looking at the chat thing. Hello. Let me go and do this. I'll take that off the screen and put us back for a minute. Hello, Jens. There we go. Can you hear me, Jens?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I can't hear you.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get our audio back. You there? I've still got your microphone up.
The audio.
Mine's coming out. So this is live YouTube, guys. Sorry about the fun and games. So I was going to ask Jens what he uses for his output settings, and while we're doing that, I'm going to go and get my iPhone and I will type to him just to let him know that I'm still sending. There we go. Still sending audio. So, in fact, I'll just type him the question. I'll use Siri to at least dictate to him and make it a bit faster. Which encoder type do you use? Main Concept X264 or Apple H264? There you go. How's that? It's trying to be creative at least. I can't hear you now. It could only happen live. So what I might do, I'm going to get a chat window up. I can't hear you, Jens, at all. I know you're trying to talk. Hello? This is going to be pretty boring with me talking to myself. I can see your fader is up, Jens. I'll tell you what, let's do this. I'm going to use the backup technology. Hey, Jens. Are you there? Let's turn on the speaker. There we go. We've got backup technology and redundancy. The only question is, I can't hear you. Can you still hear me okay? Hello?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Very, very faintly.
Let me check. Hang on. Bear with me. Change the mic settings.
So Steve Carpenter is suggesting, I guess we have to learn lip reading. So while we're waiting, back to the question and the topic that we're talking about, and I'll put that back on the screen again. So 3 different types of encoder settings. X264 is the first one. Then we've got Main Concept H264 and Apple H.264. Personally, I use Apple H.264. Why? Because it uses hardware encoding on my laptop, whereas I know that the X264 is a CPU-based encoder. I'm not 100% sure about the main concept. I believe it's a software-based encoder as well, but I'd ask Jens for confirmation on that when he gets back. Let's see, are you there? Do we have audio?
I'm there. I don't know. Can you hear me?
Okay, tell you what, I'm going to put you full screen. I'm going to go and have a little play with the Wirecast console because I can see that your fader is up. Let's have a look. The audio from my phone is not good enough for people to hear you, so we're not going to be able to do that. Let's do this. Let's get you to disconnect and reconnect. So this is definitely live and we're going to need to have a look at how we can, and now we've got the question mark of death on the screen. There we go. I know I've got to go and accept Jens. I'll be back. Okay. Are you there? No. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. We're going to use this as an interesting troubleshooting experience. So, Jens, what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn around here and I'm going to share my Wirecast from the production Wirecast dashboard, put it on the screen, and we're going to have a look at my settings. This is the best thing that actually could have happened, right? So during live broadcasts, things go wrong. Let's face it, there's nothing anyone can do to stop them from going wrong. But how we handle it and how we learn from it is the best thing that we could probably share today. So bear with me as I do. Screen capture, add. So this is my production desktop that I'm sharing right now. I'll just resize that a little bit, or actually maybe, let's see. So for a start, down here, we've got you. This is the audio layer that I use, so you are in that layer. That's the easy bit. Over here, we've got a background. I'm going to turn off that background for the moment. I'm going to turn, there's nothing on that layer. This is the layer where we physically exist. So at the moment, the only place where you should be coming from is the audio layer. Now, if we go and get the USB mixer, this is where we've got Jens, and Jens is definitely up. And we can see that it's not mix minus, so I should even be able to hear him here. Now, just so you know, there's my microphone, so when I'm talking, I see the VU meters. But normally I have that mix minus, so I don't have too much stuff coming in. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to clear this shot, but I don't think that's going to help. Jens, are you there? No, didn't help. Now I'm going to do one other thing that's a little bit unique. So I use Dante Via, and Dante Via is something that I use, and it takes the output of Wirecast. I'll just make sure you can see that. That looks all right. So I'm taking the output of Wirecast and I'm sending that up into my Rode NT USB headphones, and that's where the Rendezvous dashboard audio should be going right now. Now I can't hear Jens in my local headphones at all. So if I can't hear you, there's only two possibilities. Possibility number one, it ain't coming. Possibility number two, a challenge or a bug within Wirecast, and I can't prove or disprove it either way without, you know, stopping the stream and maybe getting started again. Let me go and put my camera up over here. I'll put a different camera up. Video capture, there we go. So this is what the room really looks like for those who really wanted to know. It looks a lot better when you've got the green screen. But yeah, we're not doing too great today. The audio is a challenge for us. There's probably no point in continuing with the primary discussion chat about encoder settings, otherwise it's just me being a talking head. So we either find and fix this problem, or we admit defeat for today. So let me see. Do you want to one finger or two finger, Jens? I've still got your video. Do you want to find and fix the problem, one finger? Or do you want to admit defeat? You want to find and fix the problem. You want to find and fix it. You want to give me a thumb instead of a finger. Okay, let's do this. Let me find my phone again. I don't know where I've put it. I'll see if I can get you back on to Skype. Here's another interesting one while we're there, just out of interest, right? So this shot right now of you, Jens, when you're on my screen, you are not coming up with the correct resolution for some reason. So in this shot, I'm looking at the Rendezvous dashboard to my left. In fact, if I go back to, let's say, this shot, there we are. So that one is the two shot that we had before. But when I go to this shot, which is zoomed in of you, for some strange reason it's cropping the top of that, which is not what I'm seeing in the Rendezvous dashboard. But if I change the zoom on that, that's interesting. I checked this before and it was 100% and somehow it magically changed. That's better. Okay, and we still can't hear you, so I'm going to Skype you again. Here we go.
Okay. You should connect now via Skype.
We should connect via Skype into my computer.
Yep, I see you got it.
Yeah.
Hope you hear me as well.
Yeah, look, the challenge is if I connect you via Skype, the challenge is that my computer and the Skype NDI thing on the Mac is broken in the current version. So Skype is unable to get in.
You can use Skype, send out NDI, so you can have a second computer. At least on Windows. I'm not sure on the Mac version of Skype. At least on the Windows version of Skype, you can send your signal via NDI.
Yeah, so Jens, there's a bug in the current version of Skype for Mac, and the NDI output setting is actually not available on the screen. So we can't do that anymore. Okay. So here's where I'm thinking. Okay, I'll tell you what we're going to do. Just to prove or disprove, is it my end or yours? We're going to get someone else to come and join us. Does that sound like a reasonable troubleshooting step? I just stopped and restarted sending. To YouTube.
But do you and
there we go.
You go via RTMP?
I'm not using the API. So that's interesting. That's very, very interesting. Okay, so we're back. Hello to those who are watching. Good to see you again. We found some weird stuff. And right now, if you can see my screen, so for some reason this stream is going up to 4 megabits per second on the YouTube side. The problem is that when it goes up to 4 megabits per second, that's too much for my internet link, but I've only got it set to use 1.5 megabits per second on the bandwidth. And I have no idea why Wirecast is doing that. Yeah, Drone Shots is saying I need to get some coffee. I agree. So it's still double the bandwidth that I configured it to. I'll just get that on the screen again, just for the sake of clarity. Here's my encoder settings right now. Apple H.264, 1.25 megabits per second. I've got it set to 30 frames per second, keyframes every 60 frames. Main profile should be fine. Oh, we've got error requesting video data from server. Cancel that. Can you see anything wrong with that?
Sorry?
Can you see anything wrong with what's on the screen?
The problem is I have to watch on YouTube because otherwise I couldn't read it. The rendezvous is so washed out that I can't read numbers or even words.
Okay.
I see that you have some windows open, so I have a delay for the live. I need to wait to see the YouTube image.
Let me read to you what's there. Let me read to you what's there.
5 or 10 seconds.
So I've got encoder as Apple H.264 width 1280 by 720, 30 frames per second, average bit rate 1250 kilobits per second. Profile I've got set to main, keyframe every 60 frames.
Yeah.
Time code every 30 frames is not turned on. I don't have keyframe aligned. It's a pretty standard setting.
I would say so too.
So then why on earth, with that very, very standard setting, am I getting 2.6 megabits per second right now going to YouTube and rising? And as a result of that, the RTMP queue size from time to time starts going up. But here's the weird thing, the RTMP queue size is not showing a really big value. It feels like it's displaying the queue size for the record to disk. That's what it feels like.
But the disk should be fast enough to get the 4 megabits.
Here we go,
onto
here we
it.
go, here we go. I found it. Right now, and I'm recording this to screen deliberately. It does not support multiple bit rates for record to disk versus live using the same encoder. So you'll see this on a replay recording copy later. Right now I'm showing the graph for the bit rate for record to disk, and now I'm turning that off and I'm turning on the bit rate for the YouTube encoder, and it's exactly the same data set. So the bug is, don't use a different record to disk bit rate than what you're streaming with.
But
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I have used 2 different settings. Honestly, I haven't checked in particular the bandwidth, because 1.2 is doable at my end. And even 2 or 2.5.
Yeah, but when it got up to 4, that was totally impossible. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go into the settings and I'm going to stop the stream. If I can just find the window. There we go. So I'm going to stop the stream, I'm going to stop the recording and recalibrate them both to 1.25 meg, and YouTube should join it together. The recording will be a separate file that I'll edit together later, and I'll provide this data to Telestream as a bug report. So don't go back, I'll be right away.